What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Nicole Banister, aka NIKKI BANZ. I go live every single Tuesday, so welcome back to NIKKI BANZ Live! I've got my sound effects back and working. Yes, yes, yes. I am so excited about that. So welcome everyone. Today was a double header of lives for me here. You might have seen earlier today that I went live on the GSEA's Instagram account. I went live with 3 of the finalists of Start It Up, the TV show and pitch competition that I have been hosting over the past couple of weeks. If you have not yet watched Start It Up on YouTube, I want you to open up your laptop. Because you got to keep the phone here, right? You got to keep the phone here on the live. Open up your laptop, go to youtube.com/GSEA competition and go watch Start It Up. It's an incredible series where young people from India, Ireland, Brazil, South Africa, Colombia, India, all over the world, all these students are competing in a pitch competition, pitching their business ideas, their social impact business ideas for the chance to win $40,000 for their business. It's absolutely incredible. So go and check out Start It Up. I went live earlier today with 3 of the finalists of the show. So it's a double header of lives. And now here I am for my regularly scheduled NIKKI BANZ Live. I go live every single Tuesday with the most interesting and dynamic entrepreneurs, activists, entertainers, and content creators from around the world. And I am so thrilled to have my guest on here today. Her name is Crazy Feet Kavya. She is a content creator who goes all around rural India, documenting and sharing stories of rural Indian communities. And not only that, she seeks out traditional handicrafts and textiles from across the Indian countryside and amplifies them and shares them with the world. It is so incredibly cool. And I think when you think about tourism today, you're always thinking about where can I get the sexiest Instagram shot? And what is the tourist attraction that everybody goes to? And this girl is going completely off the map and giving you all sorts of insight into places that you have never even seen before or heard of before, which is just so incredible to have that kind of documentation. This is the power of content creation today, to go around the world and put these incredible communities, textiles, and handicrafts on the map. Yes, someone from India. Yes, India's in the building. I've had a number of guests here on NIKKI BANZ Live from India. I had Deepak Ramola on the show, who is an incredible storyteller, author, and poet. I've had On the Ground with Sai, who's another incredible content creator sharing stories all over India. Oh my goodness, I've had some incredible Indian content creators on this show. So that's amazing. One time for India. And I'm super excited to have Kavya here today. So shout out to everybody who's tuning in. What up, what up? I see we got Matt in the building. Hello, Matt. I see we got Noor in the building. Hello, hello. I see we've got my mom and dad in the building. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. They're like in the other room. They can probably hear me. I'm so loud. I see we got Dr. Socrates trainer, mentor here. One of the biggest fans of NIKKI BANZ Live. Shout out to you. Thank you for tuning in. And Chef Rashid, hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Super happy to have you here on the live, or if you're watching the rerun on YouTube. So amazing to have you here. So welcome. All right, that's enough from me, party people. I am going to bring on this incredible content creator, storyteller, and cultural heritage sharer. It's so incredible to have Crazy Feet Kavya here today. I'm gonna bring her on right now. I'm gonna give you a little drum roll. Y'all know I love my sound effects. Here we go. All right, all right, all right. Let's get this party started. Hello.
Hi. Oh, I am so happy. Hey, NIKKI. Hey, everyone.
Yes.
Everyone here. Hello from India.
Oh my gosh. Hello. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad to see there's so many people from India on, because you're literally like 12 and a half hours ahead of me. It's like almost midnight. And here you are.
Yes. And I was super stoked. Just like you, Nikki, I'm also at my parents' home, which is unusual because this is like a summertime, and I thought that I would spend a month with my parents. And I am so loud. They were like, "Are you sure? Is this the live time?" I'm like, "Yes." They were like,
Oh my gosh.
"Okay."
You'll have to thank your parents for me later for letting you be live and be loud in their house.
No, actually, some of my relatives, back in some villages, they even asked me, "Oh, you know what? This looks very different. We're going to tune in. What is the time?" I'm like, "Okay, it's slightly late at night." They said, "Okay, we'll try to keep up for you."
Oh, that is so sweet. Well, if they don't make the live, I will post the rerun on Instagram and on YouTube so everybody can watch it on their own time.
Sending so much love.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Me too. So, Kavya, I always like to start NIKKI BANZ Live by always telling everybody who's here on the show, everyone who's tuning in, how I know my guests. And this is a fun one. You and I know each other through Nas Academy, which is
Yes.
Nas Daily's incredible ed tech platform where you can take classes from different creators from around the world, whether it's India or the United States or Pakistan or anywhere. They've got like amazing content creators, and as facilitators, as trainers, we support these amazing content creators from around the globe and help them teach their courses. But you and I have actually never taught a course together. This is our first time talking.
I know. I still remember to all of those who are listening to us that it was, suddenly I see that there's this hyper energy lady. Every time she's there in our trainer GA, and then go to her profile. And by that time, we were not interacting on our Instagrams, definitely. And I see that she's doing this Tuesday live. I'm like, why am I not there on these Tuesday live? That's the best way to catch Nikki. So, this was something that I was totally looking forward to, and I'm super excited.
Oh my goodness. I'm super excited too. And just to get to know you better and to hear more about your story, there's so many different directions that I want to take our interview in today. I'm so inspired by you and the work that you're doing as a storyteller, as a content creator. You truly are sharing stories and highlighting different cultures and traditions that have never been heard of in the mainstream before. And that is just so cool. And it's something it's something that's like so necessary, especially like as the world goes into this place where we're trying to be more and more polarized and more separated, and to really just come back to the humanity of people and realize that we really aren't as different as we think we are. It's truly incredible what you're doing. So let me dive in. I'll start with a question for you around like, talk to us, when you meet brand new people and you tell them about this incredible journey that you are on across rural India, how do you describe this experience to them? How do you talk about what you're doing?
Suddenly, I think it's thanks to Instagram. There's this whole culture of creating a lot of content, which wasn't there, I think, about if we go back 3 years back. And this was not even a career people pursued. But I think the way I see it is that it's become a tool for my existence. So now I take it that I am a sort of representative of probably 52% of the India, which is rural, which people do not travel to, do not experience, and I'm living that every day in, day out. And that's what I put it out on my Instagram. So it's not just travel content, it's real, raw India. And that's what, probably defines me. In fact, my whole life is around that. So there was this one part, Nikki, where I was traveling into all of these villages and coming back to a city life and then doing my job. But then I think the turn happened when I moved into living in a village full time. That's when people started to really feel that, oh, what she says is genuine, because she literally lives and breathes just like in the native parts of the country. So I think that's something. I keep it very raw and real. That's how it rolls.
Yes, you absolutely do. And I want to touch on the fact that you talked about transitioning, from the bigger city life into actually living full time in a village instead of just, sort of coming in and then leaving again, because you actually worked corporate for like over a decade. You were in
Yeah.
corporate jobs, in a corporate career, and you traded it all to be out in rural communities. That's a huge jump and something that not a lot
Yeah.
of people do. How did you make that decision?
It was very tough. It
Yeah.
was one of the toughest decision I would have ever taken. I think it was tougher than leaving my best boyfriend in the life. I mean, yeah. I mean, there are these times in your life when you start to realize that, oh, I am at the peak of my career and it only goes upwards from here. And I think before COVID, it was like that. I was based out of Delhi. I was able to afford a really good life for myself. All the materialistic things one can obviously think of. And I do not say that one should not, get used to materialistic things. They are there for consume, yeah. So I mean, at that point of time, I was heading this amazing fashion brand. I still remember. And then COVID struck. And, I was almost at the peak of my career because it was only upwards from there. I was getting amazing opportunities. But, there was something inside me because all the time in my life, I've grown up in small cities in India. And I've always, somehow, I do not know why, I've just traveled to smaller towns for stories because that's what has always attracted me. So what I think I did tell you about this, that what I used to usually do was weekends, which is when everyone gets a little time to pack in their passion. So I used to travel to some small cluster or a village and come back to city life, get back to my job. It's only when this COVID struck globally, I felt that, oh, you know what? Life is so short. It's just one life. You got to live it up fully. And why am I not taking risk? What is there to lose? Probably, yes, I may lose some relationships. I may lose a lot of money. But, so that transition did not come easy because initially I was just traveling and working every weekend without fail. So
Wow.
already my parents had conditioned that, oh, you know what, this girl is really crazy because I was never available for any festivals, whether it's Christmas, Diwali, whatever. I was always traveling on weekends.
Uh-huh.
So this transition did not happen overnight. And then it was only after COVID that I decided that, okay, I'm seeing so much around me and it's so difficult to process. And I thought that, okay, let's get out of it. And let's do a litmus test that whether this passion that I keep talking about, that, oh, you know what, I love rural India, is it even real? Can I even sustain myself for 15 days or 20 days if I live there? Because, it's a different thing when you go 2 days, click pictures and come back.
Right,
And it
right.
actually, yeah. So then I did this litmus test for 8 months. Every single day I was on the road documenting and I really felt that, oh, you know what, I can last. I think I can take this. And only after that, I decided that, okay, now I really need to take a big step. And even then, I had no plans. But yeah, that's how the transition happened. So I won't say that it's been easy road. It's been hell tough. It is still very, very, very tough. But I think it's great because every day is a learning now, and I'm
Wow.
very happy to take that step. Yeah.
Yes, and we're so inspired
Yeah.
by your bravery, by your confidence to just step out of this thing that you were doing. And actually, I read one of your Instagram posts recently that said, comfort is addictive, right? Like
Yeah.
it's so easy to be comfortable and to just keep doing the same thing every day and to have this lifestyle and to have this income or whatever's happening. It's really hard to step away from that and say, no, I want to try something different. I want to follow my passion even if it's going to be hard. And so, which is why it just makes your story so incredible. And it's not like it's not like that you're traveling to some of the most remote places in the world and you do it all
Yeah.
by car, right? So you have a car and you drive around. Talk to us a little bit more about how do you actually find these communities, these rural places that you find that literally aren't even on the map. How do you even find these places?
Yeah. So, this whole thing came, Nikki, because while India is one of the most populated countries of the world, right?
Right.
And the irony is that 52% of our geographical spread is rural belts of the country.
Wow.
The irony lies in the fact that you get very less information about it on Google. So let's say if I want to find out that, oh, you know what, Nikki's wearing this amazing metal piece and it's made with some artisan in X village, you can't just find it out on Google. There's no such info. So I felt that, oh, first of all, I think the gap that I wanted want to sort of um, just improve a little bit is have access to that info that, okay,
Yes.
such a craft happens there, such a art is practiced over here. So I started reading a lot of these project reports of college people because I realized that they were just closed. They used to do the projects and just submit it to the college and they were never going out. All of these PhD researches and projects. Or so it took me a lot to even figure out that, oh, you know what, this village, this is practiced, or that village, that is practiced. And then once I started getting access to it, the next challenge was, oh, how do I reach that? Because I get a lot of flack, you know. I get a lot of flack that, oh, you know what, you're a lady who just drives around a car. I'm like, yeah, I wish there was public transport to make me reach the last mile. So, yeah, because we are still, let's accept, we are still a developing country with infrastructure that is improving every single day, but we have a long way to go. So,
Mm.
yeah. And then I just decided, okay, these raw stories don't need a whole team. I have to just put it out the way it is. I just had my phone and I have learned driving since I was a kid. So I could just manage myself going anywhere. So yeah,
Wow.
I think that has worked. And I think, uh, you know, the kind of tribal culture India has, people always ask me, what about language? How do you get around talking to them? So, you know, things like that. But I think that and this goes out for every single female who's watching us, and not just female, anyone. If you go out alone and pursue travel seriously, people take you very seriously. People, you know,
Mm.
locals take you very seriously.
Mm.
As compared to when you're out with your friends or family, you know, or you have an agenda. But if you go out, give time to them, they take you very seriously and they churn out stories for you. You don't have to do anything. You can just sit, record, you know. So
Oh
I
my
urge
God.
everyone to solo travel as much as they can, you know, to the extent possible. But yeah, yeah.
Yes, and it's not just that you're traveling solo and going to some of these really remote communities, but you're also sharing their stories and sharing their crafts, you know, with the world. Like you said, picking up, okay, they have this really unique style of wood carving or this really beautiful jewelry or something like that. I think that's so special. And again, you're kind of connecting these artisans with a global social media community and with the rest of the world where they might not be able to share their stories or share their crafts otherwise. So how did you first get interested in exploring all of these incredible handicrafts and textiles? And tell us about some of the like most interesting things you've come across.
There's just so much to share, but
I
you know,
bet.
I thought that in this live, I'm gonna ask you a question. That was the surprise packet. That, oh, you know what, this Tuesday we're gonna reverse the roles.
I'm
But
ready. I'm
no,
ready.
I would love to take up this one. It did happen because, you know, the state where I was born, there was a block printer at back of my house. Now, what that printer does is he does this hand block printing, which has become really famous. You know, it's like cute blocks, wood blocks, and you put it in natural color, and then you keep printing it. So it's literally, you know, like you're literally wearing a piece of someone who has put his hands on it. So I've
Wow.
seen that sound, I've heard that sound growing up. So it was somewhere at the back of my mind. And plus, you know, my family also comes from a place in India which is very high on handmade things, you know, Rajasthan. So anyway, it was something that I grew up with. But I think, you know, over time, as I started getting a lot of learning, you know, which doesn't happen in school. School, I was like a teenager who was just carried away, seeing all the good men. I think the learning started to come only post college. And I
Uh-huh.
thought that, okay, let's be sensible. And I realized that handicrafts in India is the second largest employment generator after agriculture. So when
Wow.
India is called like an agricultural land, and there are several government policies and, you know, regulations and, you know, things doled out, hardly people know that handicrafts is the second largest employment generator, indirectly and directly. Now,
Wow.
with that, I thought that this is my way to talk about labor rights, representation of gender, sustainability, um, ecotourism, climatic situations, because the way the whole craft scenario is changing, you know, they use dyes, they use natural colors, they take the clothes to wash in the rivers. There are health and hygiene issues for people who work with metal and other mediums. So I thought, okay, this is a great way to tell different layers of stories, whether it's people, it is health, hygiene, whatever layer you want to explore, everything is there with the running theme of crafts, so why not do that? So yeah, it just stuck with me. And I think that has become an overarching, sort of language for me as I travel over time. Yeah. And
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
no, so and then you also asked me about interesting ones. So there have been so many because India is home to like more than 3,000 unique crafts. Hardly, I feel that so many of them are not documented. I've seen crafts in remote areas where people are still dependent totally on forests. It just
Wow.
lies very, it's near my own village, where I've relocated to now. And they do not have any farm. They still go to the forest every day, bring some fruits, bring some wood, but they practice some of the most intricate embroideries. And how they do it is that they go to the nearby weekly market where the barter system still exists. And I was like blown that in a
Wow.
world like this, we have barter system that exists where communities coexist. And
Wow.
there is a community who weaves, and then there are these forest people, they get pineapples and avocados, and they give it to them, and in turn they give the cloth and they embroider it, give it back. I was like, wow,
Wow.
this is
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So I just kept traveling, exploring, writing, and over time it's just become a sort of breathing for me. So yeah.
Right, right, right. Oh my gosh. Well, Kavya, I'm so glad you shared that because I think we forget that there are communities that exist. There are people still out there in the world today who are still doing things like using the barter system instead of fiat currency, or everybody loves NFTs and Bitcoin, right? But like there are literally still people bartering for
Yeah,
goods, and like we
yeah,
get so lost in Instagram Live and content creation and everything that you forget that like there are these people still exist in the world. And it's just such a good reminder to all of us that there's still so much to explore and so much for us to learn about. And this is what I love about the storytelling that you do, because you're educating me. I'm here in Los Angeles in the United States. You're educating everybody else on this live around the world who's like, wow, there's still these beautiful communities to be seen. And I think,
yeah.
like, so one of the questions that I have is, for someone like me or someone coming from a different country who wants to come to India and have an, off the beaten track experience, or who maybe wants to go visit one of these communities that you visited and maybe purchase some things, like what's the easiest way for someone to do that? Like, do you publish maps so people can go drive and find these places? Like, how does someone like me fly from LA and come to somewhere in
Yeah.
India and find these incredible artisans?
Yeah, so I think that's where I want you guys to help me, because we have such an amazing pool of people that we keep talking, at the NAS, but we never get time, personally. We are always, fly by the shuttle and our routines. But I think, yeah. So when I just started traveling and it started getting into my blood and nerves and everything, that, oh, you know what, there's just so much to do and so much to tell. So I think then this whole thing started to brew in my mind that I need to create a platform where, one can have easy access to content around these and just see and watch, and absorb. And then there has to be a platform where, let's say, Nikki lands on a particular website or a platform and she says, oh, you know what? I just want to see what is happening around India. I just want to learn. And then she says, oh, you know what? Amongst these 5 things, I love this. And if I come to India, I want to travel. So this platform should also enable Nikki to go right to the home of the artisan, probably live with them, be with them, see their skill, eat with the family, break the bread together, celebrate the festival, and come back. And I think I'm slowly building up such a space, and it's taking a lot of my sweat and blood, so much so that my travel has reduced.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, but I am constantly on this thing that, okay, by next year I want to do this. So we are slowly building the space where we can create such experiences, whether it is products, whether it's experiences, and it is concise information all in one place, which was what I feel is lacking, because you have everything in, granules here and there flying all over. But I think,
Right.
yeah, so we just need to put it all together. And I feel that'll be a great start for people who are very new to this whole thing. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so inspiring to hear you say that this is something that you're trying to figure out because, you know, when we think about, at least when I think about some of the more rural communities and people around the world, we have to make sure that if we're going to introduce tourism and we're going to introduce, you know, the outside world into some of these places that are, you know, living off the grid or living through the forest, that we do that in a way that's sustainable, that we do that in a way that truly honors and celebrates and funds the work that they're doing instead of some big corporation or somebody coming in and saying, oh, we'll sell your stuff for you, and they sell it for $1,000, and then, you know, the people living in that community get 10 cents, right? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And so to have someone like you who is from India, immersing yourself in these local communities and then sharing their stories to make sure that things are sustainable and feed back into the communities themselves, that to
Yeah.
me is really, really important. So, you know, you'll have to keep us posted when you start sharing that or documenting like how people can travel and have like this sustainable tourism that really uplifts these communities and funds them to continue to do their work. You got to tell us, because I'm coming. I'm trying to come.
Yeah, we already, I think some of us, we keep pestering Matt, I think on the national, please come to India, we'll do a castle here. And I think if that happens, I think that would be the first step where I would bring everyone to our village and I would be like, okay, 2 days you have to be with them, probably go to their farms and see, such an actual slow life. So I think it's going to be really cool. But I have a question because, you've
Yes.
been asking, and before you asked me another one, I thought, because it was running on my mind that you meet so many people, every
Yeah.
day, day in, day out. How do you sort of stay focused and not get overwhelmed? Because it does happen with freelancers or people who are having their own sort of, who do not work for any, who are not employed with any organization, but work for their own. Because I get very overwhelmed, I get carried away. Sometimes I lose focus. So how do you keep that, that, oh, you know what, while the world goes on, I need to just keep doing what I'm doing. How do you do that?
Oh my gosh, that's such a great question, Kavya. And I appreciate you flipping the script and asking me a question. I love that. You know, I think for me, maintaining focus, it's because all the different things that I do right now as a freelancer, as a content creator, are all working towards kind of like the bigger NIKKI BANZ brand. So for me, you know, I will decline projects and I will decline opportunities if I don't think they're actually aligned with who I am as a person and with my brand. So even if, you know, it's teaching a course at Nas Academy or interviewing an incredible person for NIKKI BANZ Live or filming a commercial for a TV, you know, ad or something like that, if it's aligned with like my personal brand, I find that that kind of keeps me grounded and reminds me that I'm working towards this bigger opportunity. And with that, I'm able to kind of keep things organized. I also have my Google Calendar is very meticulous. I'm like,
Yeah,
you know, I'm like,
yeah.
this is happening at this time, this is happening at this time. You'll ask anyone who works with me, I'll be like, I'm the first person to say, like, send me a calendar invitation. If it's not on my calendar, it's not happening.
Now that's a very good thing. Yeah, I think that's something that probably a lot of people undermine. I think the importance of Google Calendar, but I think it really is a hack if you just stick to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I do agree. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. That's one of the ways that I like to stay organized, at least. And you know, I think it's interesting for you too, because you do collaborate with a lot of different brands. You work with Nas Academy, you work with a lot of different people, and you have your own business, right? I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. Is it Craft Potli? Am I saying it
Yes,
right?
yes, that's right.
Well, okay.
Yes.
Tell us
So
more about
I
your
can I
business.
can break that. So basically, craft is craft. It's an English word, and potli is something like it's like a cutesy bag, you can say, and it's a Hindi word that comes out of it's little old school, which means that probably our grandmoms used to carry and sometimes hang it in their garment, and it would usually have sweetmeats or something, some chits of paper, something always assorted, like a whole lot of things into her potli. So for me, it's like you have memoirs, you have experiences, everything built into this craft potli. So everything is handmade, but then you find a lot of assortment with that. That's how the
Ooh,
name came. And
ooh,
yeah, yeah. And I
that's
think I also feel that I'm this really hyper person, who needs to multitask, you know? Sometimes I feel, why, Kavya? Why aren't you focusing on Craft Potli and building that up? And then I realized that, oh gosh, if I just do one thing, I'm gonna go mad and the people around me will go mad. So I have to put my hands on like at least three, four things, which keeps me sane. So I don't know, sometimes it also does, you know, it's bad that, you know, you will lose focus from the traction that you develop. So yeah. Okay, I'm also reading some of your comments, guys.
Yes,
Thank you
yes.
so much.
Well, that's actually a good segue for anyone who has questions for Kavya. If you want to drop them, don't put them in the comments. Put them in the little thought bubble with the question mark. You can type your questions there. In the last 10, 15 minutes of this live, I will very happily ask Kavya all of your questions. So please put your questions there. Once again, that's like, you know, where it says comments and there's like a little video camera, then a little person icon. There's like a little thought bubble with the question mark. Click that, type your questions, and I will certainly ask Kavya any questions that you all have. And we're so grateful to everyone who's tuning in live.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So yeah. So that's about, and so I always multitask. I keep doing these things, different things, and I think that's how I've been rolling. But I think, yeah, I'm totally taking this one thing from you tonight, that I need to manage my time a little better, like a little, because we are constantly improving there, you know?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well,
But then this, yeah, no, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, like, I'm the type of person who, when I'm really busy, I operate at my best. And it sounds like you're similar. Like, you've got all these things that you're doing, you just keep it moving, boom, 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 boom. And I thrive when it's like that. Like, the more busy I am, the happier I am. I don't know if you feel the same way, but it sounds like it.
Yeah, yeah, I was just saying that it comes with its own perils that, you know, I mean, even this whole life choices that I've made to move out of a city to, you know, move in a village full time now and pursue rural work, you know, as compared to my contemporaries. Well, there are no comparisons at the first place, but I think it comes with its own perils. So I think whosoever, I think a lot of people who are right here, who know me and, you know me through Instagram, they always keep asking, and this is something that I want to say it out on the NIKKI BANZ live, that, you know, you make your choices, but when you do that, always know that you will leave something or the other. Like, you can't have it all. Like, you just can't have it all. So you will have to just make those little compromises here and there, and you never know, something good is there for you. So yeah.
Yes, I love that you said that. And I'm actually literally thinking about my guest on the show last week, who's this incredible journalist named Laurel Chor, who literally was saying that when she goes into certain places, like when she's covering the war in Ukraine that's happening right now, or when she's covering you know, these really big global issues, she has to take a stand. And she has to say, you know, I'm on the side of human rights. This is what I'm about, and this is what I care about. And even in our kind of work with content creation, you know, by storytelling, sharing people's stories, we all have to do that through the lens that we believe is right. And so for you to say that you too have to, you have to, narrow your scope and say, actually, like, I care about this or I care about that. And if it doesn't align with your scope, that's really important. I think that's good for people to hear, because I think sometimes with content creation, you just want to cover as many things as you possibly can. You put all sorts of content out there, the newest trends, the newest, songs, whatever. But actually, like, you have to have some kind of alignment and be moving in some kind of direction.
Yeah, that's there. Yeah. Otherwise, we just get very carried away. I think this was also one thing that that I can say that, one needs to figure out the niche. And if you have just kind of figured it out, like you said, that for me, the overarching niche is to build NIKKI BANZ as a brand, so everything aligns with that, from
Yep.
choosing your projects to even teaching. And I think with me, it is the brand. I think probably Kavya is not the brand. In my case, it is that there is a woman in India who is a one-stop shop for everything, for every knowledge about handicrafts to the extent possible. So I try to do things around that, I just try. But then I also try to make some money around that.
Right. Yes. We also need to get paid, that part.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Kavya, I have to say really quick, we've had so many people tuning on that we know from Nas Academy and folks who've been guests on my show. Shout out to Borderless Bellic who tuned in. Shout out to On the Ground with Sai. Shout out to Sonia Mulkeet. These are all some former guests here on Nikki Banz Live who are tuning in. So we just love to give a little shout out to all the people coming in here. And I think,
Hey guys.
Kavya, what I kind of want to ask you about next is, you know, you've talked a little bit about how leaving the corporate world, leaving city life, transitioning into a rural village, and then just being on the road, go, go, go all the time, exploring these different rural communities. You know, you talk about how that is hard and that is difficult. What are some of the things that you do to kind of like rejuvenate yourself into when you're thinking about your mental health, when you're thinking about how you sustain yourself and keep yourself going? Are there any practices or techniques or things that really, you know, help you to sustain yourself as you're moving and traveling around so much, creating so much content, connecting with so many different people?
Actually, should I say honestly?
You
Because
can give it to
you
me
will judge
honestly.
me. Okay. No, I don't think that I have a set practice. In fact, just yesterday I was telling my mom that, you know, there was this age, like I was telling everyone who, for the people who have just joined, I was sharing this with Nikki, that this whole transition and the story of a girl moving to a rural village completely from corporate life hasn't, you know, happened in a day. It took me a few years. I was doing it side by side, and then I just, you know, did it post COVID. So I think initially, I also feel that though I don't believe in age kind of thing, but I feel that as you grow up, you kind of start maturing in your mind. So I felt that initially I never needed anything to just kind of slow me down. I was just traveling. It was giving me all the energy and the adrenaline and all the good hormones that was needed in the body, you know. So I was just doing everything, eating anything that was happening, because all of that also goes for a toss once you're on the road all the time. It still does to me. But I think now what has started happening is that I've started to take breaks more regularly, like a break that I'm not doing anything, no matter I haven't posted a reel for like 4 days on my gram. My follower count has just stuck. But if I am not ready to put out something, if I'm not ready and researched, I will not do it. So I just take a break. And I may just watch a very shitty Netflix show or just journal or paint, but I just don't do things that I usually do. And I think that's the only break. But yeah, the little change that I definitely want to bring is that probably bring some fitness or something that I totally feel that I should do. So yeah.
Well, fitness is definitely a great way to rejuvenate yourself. But honestly, all the things you mentioned, journaling, painting, just like taking a break and not posting anything, those are all really important strategies to kind of just, you know, rest, you know, kickstart things again.
Yeah.
I think that's really great. So you already have some good strategies going on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can even call it strategy, but yeah, it comes more naturally to me. And I think over time, I've just, you know, sort of got comfortable with it. I also feel that, you know, being alone has its own perils, because after a while, you create this comfort cage around yourself. If you have too many people, you will be like, no, you know, man, I need my me time. I think that is, so I try to sort of not get that over me, because most of the time I'm living alone, I'm traveling alone most of the time of the year. So what I do try is that when I'm totally off, then I'm with people, you know, who don't judge me. I can just chill, have a cup of tea or coffee, just hang out, take a drive, so that I don't get into this that, oh, you know, all the time I want my me time. So yeah.
Yes, yes. Okay, that's a great reminder as well, because you're right, you do spend so much time as a solo traveler. And this is
Yeah.
interesting because when a lot of people talk about you as a solo female traveler, and a lot of the articles that I've read about you, people are always asking questions kind of about like what it's like for you as a solo female traveler, you know, dealing with, you know, men or anybody else who you might encounter. But I almost want to flip that and ask, as a solo female traveler, what is it like for you when you actually meet women in these rural communities? Because I can imagine that for women to see you with this beautiful, empowered, solo content creator with tens of thousands of followers on Instagram, and you're sharing stories all over the world and doing it by yourself, I can imagine that the women are like very inspired by you. Like, shit, I'm inspired by you, girl. So I imagine when you go to these rural communities that these women are like, they've never even seen anyone like you. What is that like when you meet these women in these communities?
No, I think the girls, I specifically want to mention because a lot of villages have young girls who don't get to get out and, go to colleges or proper education. They definitely get carried away. There's also these times when I really feel helpless because there's little we can do to sort of improve that situation. But I think in most of the cases, I think my traveling has happened so extensively. It's because the women in the family just want to keep me with them. They're like,
Yes.
they're like, oh, so you're here and you're alone, and okay, so are you really alone? I'm like, yeah. So you've come here to find out what we do. Okay, why don't you just stay with us? For tonight, just stay with us for 2 3 days. Most of the time, it happens that I end up staying with a local family. It's because and then the woman would want to feed me the best of the food. There was this
Oh.
incident, yeah, where I was in a remote village in the northeastern Himalayan part of the country, and every day, because I'm like by choice a vegetarian, and that part of the country just eats everything that comes on the platter. So, and I don't really have a problem with that. So they were just feeding me all the local leaves. They would boil it and do their best. If I'm lucky, and if the hen gives egg, then I can also have an egg, which was again by luck. So one day, what? They said that, oh, you know what, Kavya, you're going, so we need to have a full party and like a good feast. And they brought a whole pangolin on the table, like, and I was freaking out. Yeah.
Oh my
And they
God.
brought this whole thing on the table and they put that on the table. And I was like, oh my God. They said, you really have to have this. And the woman was cutting it like a pro. So I think most of the times it's these women who really respect that, oh, you know what, this girl has come with this intention to sort of see our lifestyle. Because I also want to put this out that when I travel in such native communities, I've also done that with Indonesia. Uh, I've traveled there in the initial years of my travel. I never put out the camera, at the first go. I've really spent time, take about 2 3 hours, sip a chai with them, take a bread with them. And then it's like, oh, you know what? Can we see this? Can we go to your village and actually see the process? So there have been incidents where, I've been taken, I've stayed there. So I think, yeah, I think the trust is there between women to women, irrespective wherever you are, the language, the nationality, it really doesn't matter. So yeah,
Mm.
but I think you also travel. So what are your thoughts on that? You
Yes.
travel so
Well,
much and across countries. So I also want to understand that how does it work? Because while my body of work primarily right now restricts me to this country, but then I have a good idea around Southeast Asian part of the world. But then I also feel that how does it happen with you? That when you travel, how do people take solo women or generally content creators? How do you mix up with local communities? How do you do that?
yes, that's such a great question. And I think, for me personally, and what I loved about your story is where you were sharing that you can form these like connections with women. There is this like female matriarchal connection that just like happens with women, which I fully agree that that's the case. And I think for me, what I try to do when I travel anywhere new is I try to go somewhere where I know at least one or two people. And just because of the nature of the work that I've done throughout my life, and even now with the show with NIKKI BANZ Live every Tuesday, I meet people, from all over the world, just literally just by doing this show. And so I truly feel like for me, there's no city in the entire world that I could go to where I wouldn't know someone or someone would know someone who could connect me. And because of that, I try to have authentic and local experiences. Like I don't want to go to places that all the tourists go to. I don't want to go to the most Instagrammed,
No.
picture spot. Like I want to go somewhere. I want to go to the coffee shop that like all the local people go to. I want to go to the
Yeah.
club that plays all the local music, not music that I can hear, in the United States or in other places. And so I think by trying to find people from those places, from these different countries or cities that I traveled to, and really just spending time with them and just like a day in their life, that's one of the ways in which I really try to, just understand what's actually happening in these places. And this is the beautiful thing about social media. Like, I can literally just post on my Instagram stories, hey, I'm going to be in Dubai. Who's in Dubai? And like 10 people will be like, oh, I'm here. Or someone will be like, oh, I have a friend there. I'll connect you, right? Like, if I'm coming to India, you better believe I'm messaging you. I'm messaging Sai. I'm messaging Saeed. These incredible people that we know from Nas Academy, because I'm like, y'all know the area. And for sure, you'll be like, oh, come to Rajasthan. Oh, come to Jaisalmer. Come wherever. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, that's so on point. The only thing with me, it does happen is because all of these villages, when you travel interiors, so India doesn't have all of that couch surfing sort of culture
Mm,
yet, totally built, you know. You still have it in pockets like Goa, you would have it in pockets like somewhere in the Himalayas, but not everywhere, which is where the peril also comes on my Instagram that a lot of brand deals don't come across. So while I do a lot of bigger brand deals with automobiles and but there are no hotel deal borders, or there are, because obviously I can't pitch those products in the villages. I need to show a very different content. So I think
right.
that is also a challenge sometimes that I build when I plan my travel, that, oh, you know what, you may not get a lot of collaborations, but then you can plan something really long term with some maybe government or some brand who's looking for a product collaboration and things like that. So yeah.
Okay, that's really good to keep in mind. And I'm sending all the good energy your way for like the government institutions or the tourism board or
Yeah.
whoever to come in and say like, we love this rural content creation and we want more of it. So we're sending you all the, the finances. And sometimes it can be hard as a content creator to make sure, like, especially, to make sure you're making money and getting all your things covered. You have so many costs, right? Like petrol, I'm sure it just costs you a ton of money just traveling
Yeah.
for days on end in your car. So yes, all that stuff is coming soon. I feel it. So this is like totally different subject, but I've always wanted to ask you about this. You have all of these gorgeous tattoos on your neck, on your hands, on your chest, in all these places. Maybe there's some I can't even see, but they're so interesting, and I'm so curious to learn more. Do you talk about them ever? Because I want to know more about your tattoos. They're so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, they are hand poked, like the women have done it.
Oh my
No,
gosh! Wow.
I love to talk about it because now it's become a part of me, and some of them have some immensely good meaning, which I think I can share. But it started with something like I was really not a tattoo person. In fact, I'm scared of needles. If I go to a hospital and if someone has to do a blood check for me, I almost go cold feet. Like it's like that
Oh.
situation for me. And it was really bad until I shifted to this village. And one day, I realized that the vibes were really cold. Like they were really friendly to me, but not to an extent that I would have said that, oh, you know what, tomorrow you are going to practice that craft. Can I come along? Can I, sort of see it? And I realized that in that village, they hand poke each other when there is
Wow.
some ritual or ceremony. Like they make a little flower or they make something. And they were doing that to a woman, okay, at that time. And that was my first tattoo. I think, yeah, it is seen here, but it's gone light on my entire hand. So I said, okay, why don't you do a tattoo for me? And they just opened up. They said, really? You want to do a tattoo? And they use this traditional methods like using a needle that is dipped in the soot of the lamp. So basically, the traditional lamp, which and the oil, say the soot comes out and you dip that and it acts as an ink, and you tie up that and you keep poking. And once it's done, then you put some turmeric and cow dung, and it's really, really cool. So they said, are you
Wow.
sure you will do it? I said, yeah. And all of those women, they suddenly were like my best people. They were like, okay, this is our girl. And then they were bringing all of these young girls who, nowadays they get carried away. They want to put these modern designs, because I have very native designs. They all have some meaning. So they were like, see, this girl, your friend, has come from the city and she's doing it. So they were like scolding
Yeah.
their own daughters, and so it became like a family thing. And I think
Oh,
then it
yes.
just developed because I felt that tattoo for them, for specifically for tribal population in India, because this is not just like a machine tattoo. They are very sacred. The women feel that this is one thing that they will carry back with their soul. So everything, like there are engravings on my neck which symbolizes a uterus of a woman. This is
Wow.
again, this is again a hut. Basically, this entire tattoo is like women holds the power to the universe. This is an earthquake. Now, this is
Woo!
a yeah, this is universe and a star, which means that as a woman, you hold the power to absorb negative and positive energies. You give birth, you hold the energies, and things like
Woo!
that. So yeah, and
Girl.
yeah, it just kept developing, and now they get very excited. They said, "Are you coming? Okay, we want to do another one for you on the knee. Okay, we want to do this." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Wow. Kavya, that
Yeah.
is so incredible. And that's why I wanted to ask because, even looking at your tattoos, I've never seen anything like that before. And I had a feeling it was somehow tied into your exploration of these traditional and rural communities and their heritage. And so that is just so incredible to hear you say that. And to learn more about these communities and these women in these rural communities who know their strength, they know
Yeah.
their power, they know
Yeah.
the energetic force fields that women can yield. And so for you
Oh,
to
yeah.
then walk away with some, very traditional, very sacred artwork on your body from them, wow, I'm just woo, that's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. No, this one is something that I really feel proud. I also want to say that, while India has so much of rural population, I feel that the women there may not know how to operate mobiles. They may not know what's Instagrams of the world, but they just know their shit so well. Like they know that how to manage their craft, how can they manage the entire family, and they are able to hold that energy. And even at a 90-year-old, they would know, oh, and there are these jobs that are pre-decided. No one has to teach you that. And I feel that that culture should not go away with all the technology that we are getting exposed to, because I feel that this is also one of the reasons I feel that I should document a lot of rural India, because the penetration of technology is so fast. Everyone has got access to the TikToks and the Instagrams, that we all get carried away no matter what. So I feel that all of this, before all these cultural practices, they die down, one has to sort of at least document them in some way. So yeah.
Yes, yes. And we're so grateful that you are documenting it because otherwise, some of these cultures and traditions will just be lost to technology and to modernization. And that would be such a shame because there's so much beauty there. So, yes, crazy feet, Kavya, doing the things for us, girl. So we have like 10 minutes left on the live interview, and there are a couple questions from the fans. So if you're comfortable, if you're happy with that, I'd love to ask some of these questions from folks who are here on the live. Yes,
Yeah, I
let's
think
do it.
let's do that. Yeah. And thank you everyone for joining. Bernali, there are some names that I can just locate. Okay. There were a lot
Yes.
of people. A lot of people are going back and forth because for India it's already a new day.
Right, 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 right. That's true. That's true. Oh my gosh. Well, for everyone who's like up watching at midnight or like in the new day, we're so appreciative of you. I
Yeah.
love that. That just goes to show how many people just love you and love your content, Kavya. So that's just
No,
incredible.
but I think it also goes to the fact that, people say, oh, you know what, I've been telling all my friends, oh, you know what, there's this super energetic lady and she's, putting me on her live. You have to see that. I was
Yes.
so hyped up. I was totally hyped. And even my parents were like, I was sharing this with you that, oh, why we want to see this. And, it was like a lot of hype. So because we keep doing live, but then we don't get to actually talk to people, across the world. Not too often. I mean, it doesn't happen every day. So yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I am super, super thankful for that. That we
Oh my
could,
gosh.
speak over Instagram at least and, know each other a little better.
Yes, I feel the exact same way. And like when I was talking earlier about this NIKKI BANZ brand, it is connecting people from all over the world. You know, there's no reason someone in India and someone in the United States shouldn't be having a conversation. We should be having more conversations, breaking down all the perceived barriers of our different cultures, our different religions, our different languages. Like there are no barriers there. Like we are all one shared humanity. So to have
Oh, yeah.
conversations like this reinforce that message, which is why I do it.
No, totally love that. In fact, I feel that, and I think it was only probably I remember that you had put out this creative few weeks or few months back. That's when I came to know, oh, about this Tuesdays. And then I was just scrolling away on your Instagram one by one and watching a couple of, and I was like, wow, this lady is doing such a immensely mindful work of connecting people, putting them, out there, because we hardly get to see that. I mean, people do lives once in a while and it just gets lost in your feed. But I think
Right.
in your case, it's so clear that if someone wants to get an idea, it's just put out there so meticulously. I think three cheers to that. Totally.
Thank you. You are so kind. I'm so honored to have you as a guest on my show today. Let me ask you some of these final questions. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know it's so late for you, but we have someone, this person has been on the live the whole time, been commenting. Voice of Shruti is asking Kavya, what change have you seen in yourself to date from the time you have started your journey? So what change have you seen in yourself over this time?
Um, I think it's just one, before we, sort of wrap this, that I've become very patient. I think city lives puts us into these boxes that are auto-defined, which means that, oh, you know what, there are alarms to wake you up. I don't say that I don't use alarms now, but then it puts you in a sort of automatic boxed life because there are so many products to overwhelm you. So, but then what I'm learning now from the villagers, which I've not totally adopted, but I'm learning, it's a process, that they are very, very, they're very self-satisfied. All of these terms of slowing down, being mindful, practicing something that is very, that nurtures your soul. They do it day in, day out without even anyone telling them to do it day in, day out. So I feel that being with them has made me more patient. Otherwise, I used to be this corporate person. Oh, you know what? This has to be this deadline. Oh, why can't we do this? That is your efficiency. But I feel that in villages, it's the other way around. People take adequate sleep. They get up, they go to their farms, they sweat it out, they party every evening. There's a community time, which somewhere we
Wow.
forget in the city life. So I think it's made me a more fuller person for sure.
Wow, wow. What a powerful reminder to just take a breath, take a break, slow down, get the sleep that you need, celebrate with your community. I love, love, love that. And I think there's one more question that I want to ask you before I ask you my final question of the live. There's someone on here named Chef Rashid, who's also been on the live for most of our hour and commenting. And they're asking, do you see a shift in India in terms of reason to travel apart from hikes and beaches, etc.? Like, are you seeing a shift in Indian culture or in the community around people traveling for other reasons?
Oh, yeah. I think a lot of millennials now have the power to spend. And I think one of the easiest way to spend nowadays is gratification, which happens through content and traveling. So I feel that there's a lot of scope, and I think we are already going there, but there's immense gap because in India, what happens is that the places that are touristy, they are people do get carried away. So there are mountains and beaches and forests, but I also feel that this whole rural India, while I have picked up craft, someone can pick up tribal food, architecture, tattoos for that matter. There are so many overarching themes, and one can just travel around these themes. So I think there's immense scope, and I see that shift happening. But it's slow, but it is happening. So yeah.
You just put that so beautifully, Kavya, that there's so many different things people could explore to travel and do that through content creation, like you said. And I think that's, again, just a really powerful reminder to everybody here that if you have a passion or there's something you're interested in, whether it's jewelry or tattoos or shoes or whatever it is, go seek it out, go explore it, go follow that passion. I love that, Kavya. So maybe just the last question I'll ask you before I wrap up our live here today is just give us your social media handles. Tell us how we can continue to follow you and sort of like what's on the horizon that we can support you with as your friends, as your fans, and as your followers.
Okay, so yeah, one can connect with me on Crazy Feet Kavya. I'm going to put that handle on the chat right now. And then you can also see few of the work that we do on Craft Potli, which is where we put out memoirs. They can be experiences, they can be products. And I think the biggest way to support any creator, whether you're putting your work on Instagram or off it, is just talk about it. Share it with your friends, spread it by word of mouth. And I think that's the best way. We don't need any marketing or anything like that. And I think if probably I think more than 100 people over a loop has watched this live, and I think even 20 out of them share it, I think I'll be so happy. So yeah, I think that's what, share, support, amplify the work that I do, and that's all. I think that's the best thing. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think that's definitely the case. I'm going to be sharing this interview on Instagram, on YouTube, and everyone, if you haven't followed Crazy Feet Kavya yet, you can go to the top of your screen, click the little arrow, the white arrow in the middle, click that. You can go follow her immediately. You can also follow me on Instagram at They Call Me Bands. Please share this live, share this information, and go out and explore somewhere new that you have never been to before. Kavya, you have just like totally inspired me. Your energy is totally contagious. I'm so grateful that you came on NIKKI BANZ Live today. This was so beautiful. And I hope to come visit you in India one day soon. And you can come.
And we get a tattoo. And we get a tattoo for you.
Girl, I'm ready to add to my collection. Let's do it. I'm ready.
I am so hyped. We're gonna get you to India for sure. I think this is something that I would love to do, and I am absolutely thrilled. I am so happy to, have to be here, and totally love your work, and keep inspiring, and thank you for having me, and all of you all for joining here. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you. Once again, follow at Crazy Feet Kavya. Follow at They Call Me Bands. This is NIKKI BANZ Live. Thank you, Kavya. I'll see you again very soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.